have changed since renegade bounty hunters of the Old West brought in their quarry dead or alive. The modern bounty hunter is a businessman. Today, even the name bounty hunter is laden with dubious associations. That's why experts in the trade use the title of bail enforcement agent or recovery agent when presenting themselves to clients or to the public. The bounty hunter works as the appointed agent of the bail bondsman. His job is to pursue and arrest the bail bond jumper. The bounty hunter is an independent contractor and is not paid unless he brings the fugitive into custody. No body, no booty, or so the saying goes. Few occupations are as challenging as that of the American bounty hunter. He must be part attorney, part actor, part social worker, and part police officer. The bounty hunter operates as a para-law enforcement agent with all the risks attendant to wearing the badge, but with none of its protections. Contrary to the notions of certain wannabes, the professional bounty hunter is not a licensed bully. You're not apt to get a contract from a bondsman if you show up in his office looking like Rambo or a biker. Never wear camouflaged military clothing, studded leather jackets, or clothing proclaiming yourself to be a bounty hunter when calling on a client. A bondsman will not be impressed by the announcement that you know 5 deadly styles of karate or are well practiced on machine guns. He is looking for a rational person that he can entrust an arrest contract to, one that will bring the prisoner back alive and undamaged. Any undue use of force will find the bounty hunter in jail and the bondsman in court defending himself against a lawsuit. Like any profession, the bounty hunting trade has its own unique tools. There are certain minimum tools that every bounty hunter needs, as well as more sophisticated tools that are helpful once you're established and can afford them. You will need at least 2 pairs of handcuffs. You should have an ID wallet and clothing identifying you as an agent or bail enforcement agent. In ordinary street clothing, you could be mistaken for a mugger while making an arrest. Wearing clothing such as this will help identify you as the good guy. For security's sake, you may sometimes want to carry a sidearm in areas where it's legal. A short-stock 12-gauge shotgun is allowed in many places, a pistol is not, because it's a non-concealable weapon. Chemical sprays can deter animals and help subdue prisoners high on drugs. As with a firearm, you must check on which chemical agents are legal in your area. A quality flashlight is important because you do much of your work at night. Gloves will protect your hands in the event of a scuffle. Binoculars are useful for surveillance work. Portable communication systems used during surveillance vary from the handheld CB and tactical radios to cellular telephones and police scanners. You'll need a vehicle for transporting prisoners and to use during surveillance work. The minimum requirement is a 4-door sedan. A van is ideally suited to the task, being more discreet for surveillance work and for transporting prisoners long distances. The right contacts are just as important as the right tools in this business. Bounty hunting is one of the few trades that still operates under a system of apprenticeship. Newcomers gain hands-on experience while working with an established bounty hunter. Even so, the novice may still have trouble establishing his own client base. 30-year veteran bounty hunter and author Bob Burton has this suggestion for the novice.
As I mentioned, one of the more difficult things for the beginning bail enforcement agent is to get a contract locally. Most of the local bondsmen in your area know the local bounty hunters. They know who has been out in the streets a while. Your best advantage lie in contacting out-of-state bondsmen, writing to these bonding agents, informing them that you're available. For instance, should you live in Boulder, Colorado, you would write to bonding agencies all over the West, New Mexico, Utah, Texas, etc., for their skips are pouring into Boulder. That bonding agent will be very happy to hear from you, because he doesn't know anybody in Boulder or wherever you might live, and he's happy to get a letter from you. His skip may be in your backyard. So rather than pursuing 300 or 400 agents in your own state, pursue several thousand agents in the surrounding states. It's big business, it's better business, and it's smart business.
You can locate potential out-of-state clients by researching out-of-state phone directories in your local library. Or you can write to the Department of Insurance in each state's capital requesting a list of licensed bondsmen in that state. Laws differ, so the fee for this list may run from no cost to $10 or $20, depending on the state. The most comprehensive source of information is the Professional Bail Agents of the United States in Houston, Texas. Every year, they publish a directory containing the name, address, and phone number of every bail bond agent in the United States. The cost is about $100. Time spent on research, the cost of mail-outs, and long-distance phone bills are part of your overhead now that you're in business for yourself. Don't balk at the expenses. Every smart businessman knows it pays to advertise. Once on a case, the bondsman will give you all the information he has on the fugitive. This should include a copy of the bond agreement and an authority to arrest form filled out by the bondsman. Sometimes, but not always, the bondsman will be able to furnish you with a booking slip and a photo of the fugitive. Another document you will need is a certified copy of the bail bond. This can be obtained from the court clerk who handled the case. Generally, a municipal court handles misdemeanors, and a county or superior court handles felony cases. The cost of this document varies from no charge up to $10, depending on your locale. Never take on a case without having your paperwork in order. Without the proper paperwork, you are a kidnapper should you detain your fugitive. Armed with the bail bond agreement, the certified copy of the bail, and the arrest authorization form, visit the head of the fugitive detail. Here you should be able to get a copy of the booking slip and a photo of the fugitive if the bondsman has not already provided them to you. Cooperation with the fugitive officer should be a two-way street. Every chance you get, you should pass on information that is helpful to him. Eventually, he will go out of his way to help you. You may think that having the right paperwork from the bondsman, the court clerk, and the fugitive detail automatically entitles you to go to work. Anyone, anytime, any place is an old bounty hunter saw. That is no longer the case. As a bounty hunter, it is your duty to research and obey the laws of the areas in which you work. Legal codes vary from state to state in the area of bail arrests. There are several ways to learn about laws pertaining to a bounty hunter's right to arrest. You can talk to the district attorney about the laws in your state. Public libraries contain law books which have this information. County seats have their state's law books in their courthouse libraries. You may know an attorney who will let you read his law books. The section on bail arrest information can be found in the index listed as bail. Under this section, the reference words are usually surrender of defendant by bail. The book Bounty Hunter from Paladin Press has a section outlining these laws state by state. Ignorance of the law is no defense. Bounty hunters can find themselves in trouble for a variety of offenses. Open display or reckless display of a firearm, reckless entry of an occupied dwelling, use of excessive force, unlawful detention, and even kidnapping. If you do get into trouble working on a case, you're usually on your own. Bob Burton explains.
Sometimes a bounty hunter will get arrested while on a case. Very seldom will his bondsman assist him. After all, you are an independent contractor, not an agent or employee of the bondsman. You are an independent contractor. If you get arrested in Texas because you're working for a Massachusetts bondsman, do not expect too much sympathy. Chances are you might not have even met this bondsman in Massachusetts because you're working over the phone. He has no moral or legal obligation to assist you in Texas. That is one of the exposures of your business, is to simply be aware. Do not feel that the Supreme Court decision of 1873 is carte blanche authorization to make unlimited bail arrest anywhere. It offers you very limited help. The overriding rule is the state code of the place where you make the arrest takes precedence. You must adhere to the statutes of the state, of the place of arrest. Those are the laws that govern you, and there are 50 of those.
Your compliance to the law will keep you out of jail and can preclude lawsuits from coming your way later. The average bondsman is not looking for a bruiser. He is looking for a linebacker with the wisdom of Solomon, the skill of Sherlock Holmes, and the mind of F. Lee Bailey. Information on the bail agreement or booking slip will often lead you directly to the fugitive. You'd be surprised how often the fugitive remains at his home or his job. Sometimes the fugitive will run, only to return to the familiar after a brief flight. Don't overlook the obvious. In any case, these documents will have information you will use to apprehend your fugitive. Description, aliases, date of birth, previous addresses, occupation, employer, social security number, vehicle driven, driver's license number, names of relatives and associates. They're just a few of the things that will help you locate your man. You will also utilize other public information sources to gather data on your subject. Finding your man may be as simple as dialing information. Don't forget to check new listings and listings under his spouse's name. Telephone and utility companies have detailed records on every account. Find out where the refund check on the utility deposit was sent. Perhaps the deposit was transferred to a new address. People in trouble with the law frequently have money problems and are not prone to forego refunds. The post office will provide you with change of address information for $1, or you can send mail to your subject's last known address with "Do not forward. Address correction requested," printed on the envelope. Post offices are required to furnish the home addresses of post box renters who use their post office box for business. If you fill out the inquiry card for John Doe Enterprises rather than John Doe, that will usually satisfy the clerk. Public records are a rich source of information. You can find out a lot about an individual right at your county courthouse. Marriage records, divorce decrees, property titles, tax liens, voter registrations lists, auto and boat registrations all contain vital information on a subject, his interests, and his habits. Don't overlook lawsuits. Look under the subject's name as both plaintiff and defendant. Those who have opposed him in court may have accumulated dossiers of their own on your subject. Chances are they'll be glad to share it with you out of spite, if nothing else. Whenever possible, let your fingers do the walking. It's the most time and cost-effective way to gather information. The telephone is the bounty hunter's most valuable weapon. The anonymity of the telephone allows you to present yourself as anyone. You may be a credit bureau checking on your subject's employment. Perhaps you're a prospective employer looking to hire the subject. Perhaps your subject is due a refund or has won a prize. Maybe you're an old Army buddy planning a reunion. You can use almost any ruse that will make the party you're calling willing to help you. With few exceptions, your imagination is your only limit. Bob Burton has some cautionary advice.
The phone must be treated as a volatile friend. You can get into trouble if you pretext as a police agency or a government entity gathering information. Avoid that pitfall. Do not attempt to pose as any representative of a legitimate business. If they get wind of it, they may come down on you and with a lawsuit on you and the bondsman that you work for. Once you get into bail enforcement, you will find myriad sources that will enable you to access phone networking and tricks of the trade you can pull on the phone. You will learn as you progress into bail enforcement from other bounty hunters, the books I've written, Bounty Hunter and Bail Enforcer, and through the National Association of Bail Enforcement Agents. Consider the phone your most valuable ally.
Using pretext, whether on the phone or in person, allows you to be all that you can be. Most people are unwilling to put their friend, employee, or relative in jail by discussing his whereabouts with someone presenting himself as a bounty hunter. By using pretext, you are not only making it easier on yourself, you're also making it easier for those you call to be truthful and to do the right thing. Someone once said that a bounty hunter should be able to talk himself into Iran dressed as a rabbi. That observation is not far from the truth. You will often need to pretext your way through interviews of your subject's friends, neighbors, relatives, and employers as you track him down. A creative mind and sheer audacity are a bounty hunter's greatest assets. Theory has it that for every 10 people a man knows, 3 will love him, 3 will hate him, and the other 4 don't care one way or the other. As a bounty hunter, your job is to sort out who's who in your subject's life and to find the Judas. You must find the snitch who will give or sell you the information you need to capture your man. Mothers will help you because they love their son, and they may fear for his safety as a fugitive. In-laws will frequently sell out the fugitive because they disapprove of his ways. Disinterested parties will sell out a fugitive because they need the money. This is especially true toward the end of the month when rents are about to become due. The savvy bounty hunter knows the value of contacts. Well-established contacts can save you a lot of time and legwork. They are your eyes and ears on the street. The convenience store clerk, the cab driver, local merchants and bartenders, the paper boy, all have continual contact with neighborhood residents and can advise you if your subject comes around. Motel clerks and unsavory characters such as local dope dealers or hookers are also players in the game. For love, hate, or money, your contacts will tell you what you need to know. If there's one fast rule of working with these people, it's never burn a contact. Don't violate his trust by divulging his name, and always pay him promptly. If you do burn a contact, word always gets around, and you only end up burning yourself. Once you've located an area that your suspect lives in, visits frequently, or works at, you may want to establish a surveillance post. A nondescript van is a good vehicle for this. Darkened rear windows allow you to observe the area without being observed. A curtain behind the cab will keep you from being backlit. For long stakeouts, you'll want some snacks, a thermos of coffee, and a porta potty so you won't have to leave the van. The cellular phone has its uses on a stakeout, not the least of which is calling for police backup should the need arise. If you expect to be in a stakeout area any length of time, you may want to advise the watch commander of the local police precinct. He can inform his dispatchers and patrol officers accordingly, so you shouldn't be disturbed. In any case, it pays to have a police scanner on hand during surveillance. If the dispatcher is sending out a car to check a suspicious vehicle in your area, and you hear your vehicle being described, leave at once. Call the police station and explain that you are a bail bond investigator on a stakeout. Meet the squad car in a well-lit restaurant so they can check your credentials without blowing your surveillance. Neighborhood crime watch programs are good for the neighborhood, but they can play havoc with a stakeout. Despite all the high-tech ways to track people, a low-tech or no-tech system can work just as well. One method has withstood the test of time.
Many bounty hunters will use the wanted poster system of finding someone. They're very effective. You can have hundreds of posters printed up for 4 cents a piece. They indicate to people that you're legitimate. They'll keep it. They won't forget the name or the face. Many people will pass it around. They'll know the person, and they won't tell you at the time of receiving the poster, but weeks later when their rent is due, they'll consider that $300 reward. I have found wanted posters to be extremely helpful, and every time I have used one, I have caught my man.
The pickup is the most thrilling part of the case, and also the most dangerous. Statistically, fewer than 25% of bail bond fugitives resist arrest. However, as a bounty hunter, you must always be prepared to meet with violence. Always approach your subject in such a manner that you have the element of surprise on your side. Don't give him a chance to gather courage or plan an attack before you grab him. Your first objective is to handcuff him and then to check him for weapons. Have your partner or backup stand to the side and cover you while you cuff and search your prisoner. Do not attempt to cuff or search a prisoner with a gun in your hand. If the prisoner isn't resisting, lean him against a wall or car, palms out, with his feet approximately 3 feet from the wall. This will keep him off balance. Place your foot inside the prisoner's foot in order to control his leg. This position, coupled with a hand placed on his shoulder, will telegraph any move he tries to make. Grasp his right hand as if in a handshake to maintain control as you place it in the middle of his back and cuff it. Make sure the palm remains facing out. Grasp the left hand and cuff it behind the back, palm out. Do a body search after you have handcuffed the prisoner. Never try to search a prisoner before he is cuffed. Section the body in half with imaginary lines and search each half separately. Start at the head. If he is wearing a hat, remove it. Check the band for weapons and set it aside. Do not put it back on his head. Run your hands through the hair. If there is a beard, run your hands through it too. Proceed downward to the front of the chest. Feel with your fingers, don't just pat. If there is a pocket, feel inside. Be careful in case you encounter a razor blade or hypodermic needle. Check under the belt. Feel inside the belt. Proceed down the side you are working toward the pants pockets. Reach into the front pocket and check inside. Do the same in the rear pocket. If he's carrying a billfold, put it in your pocket after you check it for weapons. Feel the sides of the legs all the way down to his socks and shoes, checking for weapons. Come back up the inside of the leg and firmly feel the crotch for concealed weapons. Reverse your hold to the opposite side and start again at the head to search the other half of your prisoner's body. If the prisoner is a female, have a female do the body search. If you should encounter any contraband, such as drugs, discard it. Your prisoner will appreciate the gesture. He has enough problems already. Never keep or transport any contraband on your person or in your vehicle. You don't need the hassles any more than he does. On occasion, you may have to use force to subdue your subject. Keep in mind that the proper use of force is in direct proportion to the amount of force being used to resist. Don't get overzealous. Your job is to subdue him, not to fight him. Never hit your prisoner in the face and minimize hits to the body. Jails will not accept a prisoner who is bleeding or hurt. You'll be directed to take your prisoner to a hospital. You won't get paid and you may get sued. The moral of the story is don't use excessive force. Once you've subdued your prisoner, you must transport him to jail. In many cases, this is just a drive across town. Bob Burton has a unique method for securing a prisoner in a car.
One of the problems in transporting a prisoner by yourself is the security of yourself as well as the prisoner. I'll demonstrate a unique method of transporting a prisoner by yourself. Put the prisoner in the back of the car, caddy corner from where the driver is. Watch his head when he steps in. If the car has a seatbelt, put the seatbelt on the prisoner. Now in this case, I've got a prisoner in the back seat of a car. I will take off my belt. If you don't have a rope, take off your belt. Take his arms. And loop the belt around his handcuffs. Pull it outside the door and slam the door on him. You then have a security holding the prisoner down. Ideally, this should be a knotted rope. Improvise, you may use your belt. This secures the prisoner in the van. You should have both ends of the rope or belt hanging out. Now he has the belt looped around his handcuffs and he cannot move forward. In order to prevent being stopped on a highway by a highway patrolman because of this dangling belt, you should stay in the slow lane. This will avoid detection. Or if you must travel in a faster lane, tape it back so it isn't flopping out here. Don't forget now, you must put the seat belt on the prisoner, move the seat up if you're by yourself to give him leg room, and this is a comfortable position for a limited amount of time, 2 to 4 hours. Don't forget to take the prisoner out and exercise him. He shouldn't sit in this position too long.
In some cases, you may opt for public transportation, such as an airplane. This will only work with cooperative prisoners. The FAA will not allow you to handcuff a prisoner on the airplane, and airlines will not let you bring an unwilling passenger on board. In the event of a long trip, when public transportation is not feasible, the van is ideal for transporting prisoners comfortably and discreetly. Once you have your prisoner in custody, take him to jail without delay. Do not take any side trips. Avoid exposing him to public humiliation or display. Treat him with dignity. Let him get out of the vehicle occasionally to stretch his legs. By treating your prisoner in a humane fashion, you avoid becoming the target of a lawsuit. And just as importantly, you develop a reputation of being a professional. Like many professions, there are certain fees that are considered standard in bounty hunting. That's not to say that you're not free to negotiate for what you feel is fair. Although most bounty hunters will tell you they always get 10% of the bail bond, many work for less. In the case of a straight pickup, where the bondsman knows where the skip is and directs you to him, your fee may be a great deal less than 10%, particularly on a high bond. For a couple of hours' work, it only makes sense that the fee would be lower than when a long investigation is required. Conversely, there are cases where the bondsman is running out of time and is desperate to locate the fugitive. In these cases, he is often willing to pay half the bond in order to capture the skip. Whenever you're negotiating with a bondsman, figure out how much time and money the case is likely to cost you. Figure in all of your expenses, including money you'll be paying contacts, informants, and your backup before you settle on a price. Your experience will hone your negotiating skills. Many bounty hunters pay their backup 50% of their money. This is not a sound business practice, it's an expensive mistake. You've invested your time in creating the case and locating the fugitive. You've laid out your money for expenses. It's not reasonable to give up 1/2 your fee to an employee who only steps in for an hour's work during the pickup. Pay your backup a flat fee for a pickup. $50 to $100 is a fair amount. It's only an hour's work, so it's a lot more than he's making on his day job. Unless your backup is your business partner who shares half the workload and half the business expenses, he should not be getting half of your money. Your fee is just a hypothetical number until you actually collect it. Bob Burton has this advice on the subject.
In reality, most bondsmen will pay you upon receipt of the booking slip. They know you, they know the system, they know the booking slip, they're familiar with it, and in a sense, that's good enough for him that you booked him. Some bondsmen who don't know you or don't know local judges will say, I'll pay you when I get exonerated. You have to watch out for this as a fledgling or beginning bounty hunter. Your contract with the bondsman should state, or your verbal agreement should state, that you will be paid upon the arrest and incarceration of the prisoner, upon booking the prisoner, not exoneration of the bondsman a day or two later. You want to get paid immediately. And my tip to you is demand payment upon presentation of that booking slip, or do not release the booking slip.
It should be obvious by now that bounty hunters are a special breed. They have to be. Like a circus acrobat or a race car driver, few bounty hunters dwell on the risks of their profession. They view it more as a profession of calculated risks. Unlike the police officer who must spontaneously answer a call cold, the bounty hunter has time to study his quarry. He chooses the time and place to make contact. That's why very few bounty hunters are killed on the job.
Bounty hunters are seldom presidents of the Chamber of Commerce. Our impact socially is probably felt mostly by the nearest bar. They have an increase of revenue. Crime in this country, I've heard 30 to 35,000 arrests a year are made by bounty hunters. We do it without any cost to the criminal justice system or the taxpayer. We do it quietly, very little violence in most cases, and very little excessive force. And there usually isn't an attitude of us versus them. The arrests are usually civil. Bounty hunters that do exceed these guidelines are quickly out of business.